Monday.
Go perfectly with your iced coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
How about that? No, that's pretty crazy, right? Because those lakes are huge. If you haven't seen the Great Lakes, you can't see the other end most times when you're, depending on what angle you're looking at, but ice continues to form around the edges of those Great Lakes. Now, actually, this time last year, they were much more frozen over. We had a colder January, and so things are starting to cool down and starting to form that ice, but it's a little bit behind, so we'll have to see how much ice cover they can get. Now, some of us across parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, we've had some mornings where there's just some little patchy ice along the edges of small ponds, things like that. But otherwise, it's hard to really freeze things over unless we get something like we did last February. Hey, we're talking about a cool down on the way this week. Today, we were enjoying the 60s. I even think by 6 o'clock we'll still hold on to some 50s. We're not going to be in the 60s much longer. They're about to go away as we have sunset here in about 2 hours. But we'll continue to cool down tonight. We'll probably settle somewhere in the upper 20s and low 30s in northwest Arkansas. In the River Valley, we'll probably settle somewhere in the low 30s later tonight as we get closer to sunrise tomorrow morning. But we'll continue to cool down. But the real reason why we'll cool down even more for the rest of the week, say goodbye to the 60s, is thanks to this cold front. It's actually situated more towards the Great Lakes, the center of the low pressure, but the cold front extends all the way west towards the Central Plains and the Rockies, and it's headed straight south. It'll be arriving early tomorrow morning, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and continue to press down south throughout the natural state and throughout this interstate too. We're watching some showers towards the south. We don't have to worry about those. As that cold front comes in, it's going to block it and just kind of keep it hugging right along the Gulf Coast. So no worries with this rain, but we do have a chance for maybe a couple flurries later this week. The low pressure that you see in western Montana is going to come towards Arkansas and Oklahoma. We got to get this cold front to pass on through and get us some cooler air. We can't be in the 60s for flurries, but this system may give us a couple flurries. You see them going right now across Montana towards Great Falls and Billings, and we may get some of those later this week. But no flurries tomorrow. It's going to be a lot colder, though. We'll start in the 20s, and we'll only top out in the 30s. Today, northwest Arkansas, we were hitting 63, 64 a little bit earlier today. In the River Valley, we were going towards mid-60s. We had a lot of 65, 66s. Tomorrow, we're going to take that temperature and drop it by 20 for highs, only getting into the 40s. We'll at least have a lot of sun, but that wind will be out of the north, keeping it even extra chilly for us. Here's a look at futurecast. That cold front, as it comes on through, it's going to give us maybe a few high clouds here and there as it passes on through, but no rain, no snow out of this one. It's pretty much a dry front. The center of activity for this cold front is towards the Great Lakes, so there's not enough energy to really produce anything with this, so it'll just pass on through. We'll have a couple high clouds throughout the day, but notice your highs only in the 30s and 40s, and we'll stick that way for the rest of the week, including Thursday. Thursday is kind of the only active day, if you can really call it active. This week looks really quiet. It's going to be cooler starting tomorrow, but there's a small chance that we could get a couple flurries in eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. This would be early Thursday morning. Not a lot coming with it, but that's the only reason we point that out is because that's the only kind of weather we're going to get over the next 7 days. We do finally warm up this weekend back to some 50s, but this week it's very quiet. I think most of the time we'll have mostly sunny skies, highs in the 30s and 40s, bouncing around in between there. Thursday is our only chance to maybe get a couple flurries, but then we go back to dry weather. We're in a very dry pattern, it looks like, for the next 7 days. The jet stream's off towards our north, so big systems will stay away from Arkansas and Oklahoma for at least the foreseeable future.
Okay, Matt, thanks. Sub-zero temperatures this week actually work.